Hello everyone, welcome to another planty video. It is me, Desiree, and I know what you're thinking. What's with the makeup? Well, let me tell you, it was 80s day at work today. We're celebrating back to school with like an 80s theme, so I had like an outfit and stuff, but this was my makeup, and I think it came out kind of nice. Anyway, if you hate it, it's fine. It's not going to be in the whole video. But today I wanted to talk about my string of pearls, and I had to show you the bald side. Let me show you a nice side. There we go. My string of pearls. This is one of the most beautiful plants I've ever seen. It is a succulent, which is why I think a lot of people struggle with this plant, and it's definitely why I struggled with it. I have owned a couple of these before, and they're no longer with us because I had no clue how to take care of a succulent, and especially how to take care of this one. I do have two little guys here, and then one that I think is a string of beans. It looks kind of like this, but the little pearl things are a little bigger. I'll show you that one too, just for a comparison's sake. But these plants are in desperate need of water, but I wanted to wait to show you what the plant will look like when it needs water, because I think that's one of the trickiest things with succulents, is even knowing when to water them. So both of these need water. I'm going to show you what they look like close up, and then I'll come back tomorrow and film the rest of the video. So that's when the makeup will be gone. Anyway, so string of pearls is one of my favorite plants. I love the way that it looks. It just looks so freaking cool. It filled out the little pot here, and I've always wanted to own one, but I just struggled so much with it, and I told myself I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it as many times as it takes until I get this plant down, because I want to have one so bad. So I went and repurchased this little guy, and I told myself, well, if I can keep this little one going, I'll buy a bigger one, or like, you know, a 4-inch pot or something. So I bought the tiniest one I could find, and then literally the next day, I was so confident having this for one day that I went out and bought, I think, a 4-inch pot of this. I found it at a nursery, and it definitely was not this big at all. It just barely filled out the top of the pot, and it was really bald in here. There was maybe like this little piece hanging over the edge. Like none of these long strands were here at all. And I was like, oh crap, I already bought it, so I'm gonna figure it out whether it likes it or not. And I did a little bit of experimenting with the plant, and I feel like I found the perfect balance between watering and lighting. And as far as lighting goes, I have this in my west-facing window all day long. Winter, summer, spring, it's there all the time through all the seasons. And it seems to really love that kind of situation. It gets light all day long, but it also gets like that super hot, I want to call it direct sun in the afternoon. And I have read a lot of care guides online, and a lot of people say not to give that kind of light to your plants or to your string of pearls. And I find a lot of success with that kind of light, but of course keep in mind my west-facing window is very different from yours. Even if you're my next door neighbor, you might have an awning over your window, you might have a big tree there, you might have different windows, you know, you might get the sun differently depending on how your neighbor's house is positioned. So every window is different. Just because I have mine in a west-facing window doesn't mean that your plant is going to thrive in a west-facing window. You know what I mean? I think the main takeaway there for me though is the light. It needs a lot of light all day long. So if you have a sunny window, whatever window you have available that has the most light, put it right in that window. I have mine literally sitting on the windowsill, and it just loves life right there. But of course, if you're gonna put your plant in a really sunny spot like that, like test it out, move it, inch it closer to the window and see if it even likes it. Don't just take it from, you know, where you have it sitting maybe on a kitchen counter and throwing it into a hot, sunny window. The plant might react badly, and then it might die anyway. So if you're ever gonna introduce that much light to your plant, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like ease it into it, you know, put it closer to the window here and there, not just throw it straight into that hot window, you know what I mean? And not every single string of plant is going to like that. For example, I have this one that I think is a string of beans or something. It looks similar to the string of pearls, but they're like a little bigger. And this one I put right in the window as well, and this is the spot that faces the window. And this one got completely eaten up by the sun. It just like shriveled up like this, and it's just obviously not doing well in that kind of heat. So like I said, test out your plant first. I'm not telling you to throw it in that hot window. I'm just telling you it needs a lot of light, And then I have this little guy too, same thing, string of pearls. I have this in the same lighting situation. It's right next to this one, right in the window. This one does really well, which I think is interesting because like, don't these look like the same plant? But this one for some reason does not like that kind of lighting. But the other two here love it and thrive and thrive and thrive. That being said, let's start talking about the watering. So I'm gonna show you a close-up of these plants, that way you can see exactly what they look like when they need water. But normally this plant will be juicy and plump, kind of like this one, where each little round is an exact circle. You touch it, they feel really, really firm to the touch. Almost if you squished it really hard, it would burst. They should look like this if it's well hydrated, even if the soil is really dry. This is not a plant you need to water just because the soil is dry. You know, succulents are a whole different animal in the plant kingdom, and they're very tricky in my opinion, and it's definitely because of the watering situation. So even though the soil is dry as a bone on this one, I don't water it until the actual little leaves, what are these called? These little beans, the pearls, these are the things that I look at to tell me when it needs water. So as you can see, these are not round, they're not plump or juicy looking. They look kind of like an oval, like this one here you could see has kind of folded in on itself, and it has that little dip in the middle because it's kind of shrinking up and getting like a little pruny. That is when I know that this plant needs water. Let me show you an example on this one as well. I don't just wait for one little thing like that to be like dehydrated. I wait for a lot of them to look like that. That way I know that the majority of the plant is ready for water. Because if I see just one on here, then I don't think that the plant needs water. It might just be like getting there, but it could easily go another week or so without watering. And the reason I wait for that is because I don't want to overwater this plant. That's definitely the reason why the other ones have perished, because of overwatering. You know, succulents will die instantly with overwatering, so I would say always err on the side of caution and underwater your succulents. You will thank yourself later when you don't have to keep repurchasing them all the time because you killed them over and over with rewatering. So even if they don't look that good, like, it's fine. They're gonna bounce back. These little pearls are going to rehydrate, as you will see here in a little bit. And even it sitting in like the hot window all the time, it still takes me almost 3 weeks to a month to water it, because the little pearls just store so much water in them that you should leave the soil dry as a bone. So if you're struggling with string of pearls, start underwatering it. Like, wait for the plant to tell you that it needs water, not just for the soil to be dry. Because I've waited for the soil to be dry and then watered it. Turns out I overwatered it because the plant had so much water stored in within itself that it didn't need water at all. So err on the side of caution and underwater your succulents, especially string of pearls. I mean, at least it's working for me. So I'm gonna go throw these plants in my little bottom watering situation. I do just put these in a little basin filled with water, and I leave them there until the top of the soil is completely wet. It will suck up water through the little drainage hole here. I also pour water on the top. If it's looking dusty, I'll like spray it off with the hose, like the little shower thing. And I kind of make sure the plant looks nice and clean too. So I'm gonna go water these, and I'll show you what they look like when they're nice and plump, and then we'll talk about like soil and repotting and propagation and all that kind of stuff. And through the magic of television, we are back, and I'm back with my nice, plump, juicy, hydrated string of pearls. You can see a significant difference between how they looked before and how they look now. And I know people say you shouldn't wait until they get squishy or folded like that to water them, because it can kind of, they won't plump back up the same or something like that, but I've never had an issue like that before. I find when I wait for them to get like that, it's the best thing, because I know for certain that it needs water. And like I said, I have overwatered succulents so many times because I don't know when they need water. So I wait for the succulent to be screaming at me that it needs water. And I've had nothing but success with that kind of method. I mean, I would say so myself, because I've never been so successful with string of pearls ever. That being said, when I was watering this, like I do with all of my plants when I water them, I do take a look at the leaves, make sure there's no pests or any of that kind of stuff. And I was just bragging about them not being sunburned in my west-facing window, but there is some sunburntness on, what side did I see it on? Right here. So you can see some of these little pearls have like that white dry spots on them, and that to me looks like sunburned. they kind of look like they're getting like scabs, like a little crispiness. So I guess it is a little harsh in that window, but most of the plant is fine, and there isn't a ton of pearls on here that look like that anyway. So I'm not too concerned with it. I mean, you could see there's still tons of new growth and new pieces growing all the time. So I'm not too concerned with keeping it in that window. It was in the window all summer and it did just fine. And only a few parts did get sunburned. So I'm gonna keep it there. So as far as soil goes, I just kept this in the exact same soil that it came in. I think repotting this would be a nightmare. Like, I see people get little rakes and stuff and scrape all the soil off, but I think with something like this, it'd be a little too risky. And from what I have learned and researched about succulents, especially this one, they don't really need any fertilizer. You know, you don't need to put like any certain kind of super fancy soil in it. I put it in the one it came in, put it in a pot that's gonna wick away moisture, and you should be just fine. I'd say if you're gonna fertilize it, maybe once a year with something made for succulents, but I've never fertilized it and I think it's doing just fine. And then as far as the pot goes, definitely put it in something that's gonna wick away moisture. This one, I don't know what this is. It says it's graphite, but I'm pretty sure that's just the color of the pot because it feels like it's terracotta, but like a smoother finish, like a clay or something. I'm really not sure what it is. It just says standard pot graphite made in Italy. I don't know. I got this at a local nursery here, but I also have other succulents. I have those in terracotta. As long as it's in something that is going to wick away moisture from the soil, you should be fine. And the last thing I want to mention is propagation. So I have never, ever been successful propagating this plant at all. I know a lot of string of plants people, what I see is they get it and they like twist it around the top of the pot and like pin it in there, and then I guess somehow the strands grow aerial roots and then stick into the soil, and then they grow another plant and kind of fill out the top like this one is. I have never had success doing that. I've actually never had success propagating a succulent at all. Either it's just taking way too long or it just rots and I kind of get like frustrated with it and I just throw it out. So propagation for me is not something I care to do on this plant, nor have I been successful at it. But if you have any propagation tips, let us know in the comments down below, because this is a beautiful plant. It grows relatively quickly for a succulent. Definitely probably one of the fastest growing ones besides string of hearts, string of pearls, and then string of arrows that I have back here. This grows really fast as well. So this is definitely one of the faster growing like string of plants in my experience. And I don't have success propagating it. So if you do, let us know. And that's kind of it. That's how I have this plant thriving. It filled out the whole top of the pot. It's pouring over the sides. It's just so beautiful. I do plan to keep it in that window even though some of the parts are getting sunburned. I don't mind it at all because the rest of the plant looks gorgeous. I think this plant is super, super easy. Give it a lot of light, not a lot of water. Put it in a pot that's going to wick away moisture from the soil and you will be golden with this plant. Anyway, that's it. Let me know some of your care tips on this plant. Do you agree with me or not? You know, we all take care of our plants differently, and that's what makes plant care so fun. We can all learn from each other. We're all in different climates and all that kind of stuff. So let me know some of your care tips down below in the comment section. I would love to learn from you all. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and we will see you later in another video. Goodbye.